Recently, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition hit consoles, and for me, this was an event. The original 3 games were game changers for sci-fi RPGs at the time, and each game growing and building on the last. The first game really dug the story, but most of the other stuff left me a little bit lacking, whereas Mass Effect 2 and 3 finally dug its shoes into the ground and built everything the first one was lacking and took it up to 10. Just making this one of the best video game trilogies of all time, but also one of the best video game experiences I've ever had. You'll find yourself emotionally invested, stressed at every turn, as there are points where characters you love could just die, even fall in love, or even make a best friend. Mass Effect is the closest I've ever been to being in an immersed world or a video game like this. This is the RPG to play right now, and this is why Mass Effect is a must-play in 2021. Guys, what's going on? My name is Zach. Usually on this channel, I love talking movies and TV, but today I'm going to be diving into and giving you guys a little bit more video game content soon, especially after this video, and especially after I just finished playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now, I've probably put around probably 60 hours or so into this, and in general, when it comes down to the entire franchise, I've played each game multiple times, specifically 2. I have way too many hours in that original version of 2, but I'm a major fan of Mass Effect, and since the Legendary Edition just came out, I wanted to provide a review for this game, but in general also give you guys my overall thoughts and why I feel like this is still the game, and honestly one of the best stories that I've ever experienced in a video game ever. And if you are one of the people out there who's never played Mass Effect, this is your time to shine. And if you're someone who maybe played the first game and wasn't blown away by it, you should definitely jump back into it because 2 and 3 are absolutely phenomenal. And within this remastered package, this is the game to play right now in 2021 until games finally start coming out. But if you guys are new here, make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button, especially if you love geeky content, because that's what I do over here on a daily basis. Movies, TVs, games, that's what I'm doing over here, and I'm having a blast talking with it, and I want to have that great time with all of you guys as well. So of course, come along as well, and there will be more Mass Effect videos coming down later down the road, and I hope you guys do join in for that. My love and passion for the Mass Effect trilogy really comes down and is broken down into different sections, each one forming the best reason to play these games. Gameplay evolution, the story choices and the worlds you'll go to, and of course the characters. Each thing layering an important aspect to the immersion in the story you create. There might be a linear path, but the choices you make in each game will affect the ones going forward. Each playthrough and experience different from the last. And even in general, if you talk to friends who play Mass Effect, there's probably reason that you guys both got different results for different things that happen throughout the game, because something that happens in the first game could possibly affect the third. Makes you think about each and every one of your choices, and the character and hero you decide to be will shape the future and whose side with you and who doesn't. There are major choices and major things to discover that truly will add a lot of depth to everything. This is why definitely I am so excited to dive into all of this. Gameplay evolution. Video games could have the best story, the best characters, but a key component will always be that story. The unique factor of these Mass Effect games is how each game changes what you are doing within the story. In the first game, it's very simplistic in its approach with ammo, guns, upgrades, and even the way that powers work. In fact, your choices of what kind of character you build you'd like to have is really much the only open thing with this. Character build is so different from the powers to even the results that you might get, and you find yourself kind of at the start of each game switching up to your favorite style and seeing what powers your squad mates have, and you might be like, I kind of want to do that same thing. Even with that simplistic approach that the first game has, the second game really came into its own, dumbing down the skill tree in a bit, but still much to learn. With that, as you learn building and focusing on certain ones, you can really help you in the end game. And even then, mining resources, grabbing upgrades, it's still essential to keeping your allies alive throughout the course of the second game. The upgrades you do in just Mass Effect 2 alone literally result in people dying by the end of the game. And some of your favorite characters just might go out like that. That's why every single ounce of dialogue and in general, every single upgrade you read and look at could literally be a game changer. Of course, this all builds to the third game, the most linear of them all, but the most badass as well. I always go biotic in this one as it opens up to the fastest, cleanest, and just most satisfying build of them all. Especially since you can import your character into each and every game. Alongside the shooting, you'll have conversations with so many people, and each one really much adding to the world and the mythology, and of course your choices you will make. More on this soon. Speaking of more on this soon, the story choices and the world you'll go to. Before, choices, that's a big thing with all these games and all their stories tying together to make a very, yes, the ending of all 3 games, again, not getting into spoilers at all, very much so a little bit controversy. But over time, I feel like I've grown a little bit more attached to it, and with my theories kind of believing that the next Mass Effect game, not Mass Effect Andromeda, because that was complete ass, the next Mass Effect game, I feel like actually will tie back into all this, and I'm wondering if what we decide in this game could possibly help that one, or in general your save moves over. I don't know, I'm theorizing on that point. Fact is, you're here with all these stories coming together to figure out a way to stop the impending doom of all organic life in the galaxy. Each game builds on this concept, and each game in its own way makes a unique telling of this. Your choices in the first game, even if so small, could truthfully affect some major down the road. This is what brings about each choice, and even slight discussions you have be so important in each playthrough. No game to me has been able to establish this immersion in having to really think about the resources you have, the discussions you make, and the way you decide to take on certain missions and the hero you'll become. Paragon or Renegade hero, good or bad? Are you the dickish rogue of the world or the space galaxy? And does everyone fear you? Or are you like the Buzz Lightyear Star Command of all this? That's up to you. In fact, my character, I kind of feel like I am the Buzz Lightyear. Smooth talking, James Bond type style, but at the same time, doing what's best for everyone around me and trying to get the best outcome of it all. Again, relates back to who I am as a person. I've never been able to go through as Renegade because there are sometimes tough choices to make, and definitely I've made Renegade choices throughout the entire series, but I'm always the good old charm, again, the Buzz Lightyear Star Command for the Alliance and everything in Mass Effect. Choices matter for this, and the way you interact with others or even diffuse situations can have lasting impressions for games to come. It's hard not to get into spoilers, but as someone who has played through the game multiple times, this latest playthrough I made some different choices that really did come back to play by the third game in many different ways, and honestly, some very throwback stuff, because the first game very much so is a little bit bogged down with certain elements because it is the oldest game. The gameplay is not the best. It's still fine. It's still satisfying, but the story is there. But even then, where the story isn't there and the character development and stuff like that, the second and third game are like way bigger. And I don't know if that's just because of the world that you're already building out or in general just because it is a bigger game. But trust me on this, get past that first game and you will be totally blown away. The only thing I would have liked to have actually seen was the combat from Mass Effect 3 moved into all the other two games because that's the best it's ever been. But in general, I kind of get because Mass Effect 1 is a classic in the way that they did develop the game. Going back though, these choices I've never felt before in a game. The fact that something I decided on could drastically change everything in its story paths like this make me want to do and play more to see it all. You might be tasked with wiping out an entire race. You might be asked to lie or break the law to help a fellow ally. Even then, you might be asked to kill and let many others die. Kind of where it brings me down to my favorite aspect of the entire Mass Effect series, and that is the characters. Your allies, your foes, the random people you meet along the way. The characters for me is the reason to play Mass Effect. Every person's playthrough will always result in a different relationship formed and in general different discussions and new perspectives. A character who comes off as a one note in one game, if kept alive, could be the best character you've ever known in the third. Incredible the depth that can go into all this, and truthfully, what relationships will form by the end of the trilogy are phenomenal. I mentioned off the top, you could have a best friend, a lover, a romantic partner, or in general, just one of the closest allies you possibly have, even if you guys don't see eye to eye. Characters like Garrus, Jack, Tali, Miranda, Liara, and Thane, and really much so many more, I fall in love with them all. And that'll all be different for you. There'll be characters you're like, this character's so boring, they don't work, and not every character works. Not every character works. But almost every single one of these, especially all the different alien races and species that you talk to, learning about their mythology, their world, and just in general how they tick is some of the most interesting aspects of this all. And even when you think you know something, there's more to find out. In fact, there are so many to talk about. I'm going to be doing a character ranking later down the road, so look out for that. Going back though, these characters could come off as the psycho crazy bitch, or the generic soldier, or even a cool looking alien, but that's it. As you take time in between missions or even do missions for your fellow teammates, you come to grow and learn more about them than ever before. Some will end up becoming your best friends, others becoming your greatest enemy. And most importantly, you might even fall in love with one or more of the characters along the way. Every playthrough, I find myself discovering new things about certain characters and finding more reasons to love them and explore new paths. as each character has a unique past that really brings out something special for the future. I do feel as the developers do have a canon choice that they believe in the end of the day. It feels so open when it comes down to the characters that you'll want to play through the trilogy multiple times to discover these special moments, especially if you played Mass Effect 3, where the Citadel DLC is one of the most unique things you will ever do. It's one of my favorite add-ons to ever be put into it, and thank God in the Legendary Edition they included it for free and really much segued into the game in such a perfect way. The stress that comes along with keeping these characters alive through certain missions that could quite literally kill your entire team, it's honestly a real bond that I truly think about and no game has ever given me before. As well as you are the main character of the entire franchise. The look, the creation, all of it, it's top to bottom, you are the main character. Even though your character is named Commander Shepard, everything that you do, it's all about you. And that's what's unique. You are the main character. I am the main character of my Mass Effect game. And that's something that I felt in RPGs so many times before. I've never felt that way. I could customize, I could create, I could be called that, but I've never felt that same immersion. I know BioWare has done games like Knights of the Old Republic, fantastic, Dragon Age, I love as well. But for a trilogy to every single game, your decisions, your choices, your relationships move over from each game. That's something that's so phenomenal, and I would love to see that continued in, say, a fourth Mass Effect. We don't count on Andromeda, but an actual fourth game to this all, and really see where these characters go, because I'm that attached to them all. And like I mentioned, each playthrough I do something a little bit different. I fall in love with someone different each time, and this time around through, I went through with Liara, who I feel like is like the canon choice. Like from the first game on, that one feels the most substance-filled in there. But then you have Tali, one of the most unique characters and one of the coolest alien races out there. Then you have Thane, Garrus, Miranda, who comes off as a total bitch at first, but then you really get to know more about her and so much. Even talking about Jack, someone I did mention a little bit more of, someone who I really never liked Jack. And then you talk to her more and more and more, and you're like, no, there's a lot more to you than I would have ever expected. And that's just the fucking amazing thing about Mass Effect itself. Mass Effect is the best sci-fi video game trilogy of all time. It's the most immersive game I've ever played, and it's a must-play in 2021. Replaying it after being almost 9 years since it all ended, I fell completely back in love with this franchise. Already want to dive into the trilogy once again. Almost gave up after the terrible spin-off they created, but this Legendary Edition showed me once again that the greatness that BioWare has in them to one day bring that all back, hopefully in the next game coming, or whatever game they create next. If you've never played this series before, you must. You'll thank me later, and if you've played the series before, then you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. This is why I'm going to give the Mass Effect Legendary Edition a 10 out of 10. Notice there are some small little nitpicks that I could have possibly had with the Legendary Edition itself, but as a video essay and kind of just me being able to vent my love about Mass Effect so freaking much, that's why I created this YouTube channel, so I could talk about the things that I love and inform you guys as well. And if you guys are feeling the same way, then let's hear about it down below in the comment section. I want to hear your guys' favorite character. For some of the nitpicks that maybe some people are wondering about, I kind of already mentioned it. I do wish they kept the same, like they took the combat from Mass Effect 3 and really much put it into 2 and 1. I know that might have been a lot of work, and I know they've really much dialed in on the frame rate, the quality, the 120 frames per second, the 4K. I know they did a really good job on bringing all of that to life. I just wish they kind of maybe would have done the combat as well, because the first game is very muddled in that, and then when you get to 2, you're like, okay, it's a little bit better, and then when you get to 3, you're like, this is the best it's ever been. But I love Mass Effect, and I can't wait to bring you guys more videos on Mass Effect, because I do have that character ranking. It's going to be a big-ass, long-ass video, but I'm excited to be doing it, guys. So thank you once again, guys, for clicking on this, because they're seriously all the best. Really, this means a lot. This was like a passion-filled video I wanted to make, and I'm so happy I got to do it with all you. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as comment down below, and let me know your guys' thoughts on the Mass Effect Trilogy. Have you played it before? Have you not? Are you excited? Have you picked up the Legendary Edition? Let's discuss it, and of course, guys, until next time, stay classy.